Welcome to In Real Time, where we as Heights Church are inviting you in for real conversations about leading people, organizations, and change in the new normal. We're hoping that our real discussions about our church's journey will help you as you reimagine and rebuild yours. Hello, I'm Craig Sweeney, and welcome to In Real Time, where we're having real conversations about leading people, organization, and change. And yes, we would love it if you liked or subscribed so that you can get every download when it comes out. We'd love for you to be able to get it right when it drops. Well, I have two guests with me today, and these are two of my team, and love these two guys. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hi, yes, I am Ryan, and I am the worship pastor here at Heights Church.
Awesome.
You are.
I am. I am. And what are you?
I'm Tim. Tim Layfield, and I am one of the associate pastors, teaching pastors, and
Yeah,
Jack of all trades, right?
Yeah,
There you go.
and he is shamelessly wearing his Bama shirt.
I should have worn my Florida shirt.
Roll Tide.
But you got your Bass Pro Shops on there.
Shout out to all my
Hey, are
fishermen.
they a real sponsor of us?
I wish.
No, they are not. Is Bama?
wish.
No, they are not. But hey, if they want to, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to get a sponsor for
That'd
the
be
podcast.
sick.
That would be
Yes.
cool. Hey, what are we talking about today?
Mission drift.
The mission drift, yes.
Mission drift.
So easy to
Yes.
drift away from the mission. Are there currents working against us every day?
Every day.
Absolutely.
There are.
Yeah.
Absolutely there are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those currents are going to win unless we do some things to continue to work against the currents, right?
Right.
So that's really kind of the subject that we're talking about. And obviously we can get mission drift. Do the people of our church, our staff team, your volunteers, do they also get mission drift?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't have clarity, right, on a lot of things like why we exist, why we do these things, what our goals are, our people obviously drift because we're going to drift.
Yeah.
So it's essential down to our core to get these things figured out.
Yeah. No, it's really good. And I know for a fact that people don't get up every morning thinking about their church and their mission statements and their vision statements. They don't think about that stuff.
No.
We think about that stuff,
Yeah.
but they don't. And so we have to help them.
Right.
So anyway, this time together today is going to help us as have a conversation, I think, about, again, leading those people, leading our organizations, and leading change in the midst of all this. So last time in our podcast, we introduced this whole topic, and we introduced it with asking the question, where are you? When you walk into a mall, there's a big map, and there's usually a red dot on there that says, you are here.
Yeah.
And it orients you to the mall. So you know how to get to the store you're looking for. You need to know what part of that mall you're in so that you can get to the place you want to go to.
Right.
And really, I think when we're talking about this idea of, do you know where you are? We need to have clarity. That's actually the goal. I want to have clarity about where I'm at so that I have clarity about how I can get from here to there. And there is all about what we want to talk about today. Now, last podcast, we introduced the idea of the game plan. And that is there for us. It defines there for us. Now, I told you before that this is not a new idea to us. We completely stole it, ripped it off, absolutely did what Patrick Lencioni's book, The Advantage, told us to do, which is make a game plan.
Yep.
And we actually did it. And wow, has it been an absolute game changer, pardon the pun.
Yes.
So, but it just asks you to answer 5 really simple, basic questions. And the first one we're looking at today is, why do we exist? This is a game plan right here, front and back. It answers the questions that are pertinent. We're not going to dive into all of these. We're just going to answer the first question, which is, why do we exist?
Yep.
It's critical to know this. And, I'd like to say that everybody knows why they exist, but you know what the statistic is actually for how many organizations actually have stated mission and vision statements? You know how many actually have them?
No.
I'm going to guess less than 40%.
It's 10%.
Oh man, wow.
You're right.
10%.
Less than 40.
Yeah, yeah, and less than them, only about 6 to 8%. They say actually utilize the vision and mission statements in their organization. So it's kind of like Dunder Mifflin. You know, they've got a big mission statement. Nobody knows what it is.
Yeah.
They never go to it. They never utilize it. Never. And therefore, what that tells me is they don't have clarity.
They don't.
We want clarity. Yeah. So let's talk about the difference between a vision and a mission statement.
Right.
Because the reality is we haven't always had a vision and mission statement. For years, we just had a mission statement because I was truthfully unclear. And after we Googled vision and mission statements, we started to realize why.
Yeah.
There's a lot of misunderstanding or different ways that you can go with vision and mission statements. So I think it's important that we talk about what a vision statement is to us and what a mission statement is to us. So what's a vision statement? How do we define that, you guys?
I think the vision statement really is a picture of like where we want to be, right?
Yeah.
It's the goal. Like this is what we want for our people, like this is or for a church, for our organization.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it helps us to say, hey, this is the target.
Yeah. What there looks like.
What there, yes.
Yeah.
What there
good.
looks
That's
like.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were getting there.
I was
You were
getting there.
Yeah. That was awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
test
Really good.
by
This is why we need a vision statement.
That's it.
Because I was trying to get there.
Yeah. It was the preferred future.
Yes, preferred
What
future.
are we reaching for? For sure. All right. So, and then what's a vision statement? Mission statement. How do you differentiate mission and vision? What's mission?
Mission is the method of how you get to that point.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think that's been hard to differentiate for a lot of churches.
Right.
Because, vision and mission are really, they're big words, but do people actually take the time to dig in? Like, what is it actually we're pursuing?
Yeah.
Right.
So
So,
what are we
yeah,
pursuing?
that-
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So what there looks like is vision, and mission is what we do.
What we do.
What do we do?
Yeah, to get
what do
there.
we actually do? And a lot of people would assume churches know what they're doing. I don't know that's actually true. I think we're doing a whole lot of things that we don't need to do that are truthfully mission drift.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind
get
of
you off
a
target.
bit of an ouch, but I've been in ministry a few years, and I could say that's true.
Yeah.
I can also say that my experience of being on staffs were that I don't even know I was on 3 staffs. I only knew the vision statement of one of them. I didn't even know what the other 2 were. One of those churches was 6,000 people. The other one was 4,500, and they didn't even have statements that I knew. But I can tell you this, we weren't clear about what we were doing. We were just doing a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? When I look back on it, it was confusing. It was chaotic. And I really did not feel good about anything when I left. At the end of the day, I didn't know if I was hitting the mark.
Yeah.
And now I know why.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what there looked
You didn't know what the mark looked like.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear that one vision statement or mission statement? Connect, grow, and serve.
Yeah.
I feel like that was
Yes.
the one for every church.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
Super common.
Okay.
Again, we're not dissing churches out
No,
there.
no.
If you're
No.
listening to this, it's on your website. Connect,
Yeah.
grow, and serve. That's good.
That's a good thing.
But
if it's
really-
clarity for you.
But it's really ambiguous. Like, how does that work? Like, I remember, there was so much tension because everyone had a different idea of what it meant to connect, what
Yeah.
it meant to grow.
Yep.
And this
what it
was
meant
for
to
you at
serve.
your church?
This is
Yeah.
for me at my church.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you had, I would say, a bunch of silos. And so if you're at a church right now and you're like, that kind of what's the word? That
Resonates?
Resonates, yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're going with a vision and mission statement that's pretty ambiguous, and maybe it's time to kind
Yeah.
of rethink
Reevaluate,
that. So, no.
And connect, grow, and serve can be good as
Yeah.
long as you actually know what connecting means, growing means,
Right.
right?
Define
Because
it.
I'll be honest, that used to be ours.
Yeah.
We had that for years.
Whoops.
Yeah, and it's totally fine.
It's totally
it
fine.
worked for us.
Right.
Right.
But we had conversations about what does it look like.
Yeah.
So again, if that happens to be yours as a church, there's nothing wrong with it. It's commonly used.
It's very common.
Just like our mission statement is commonly used.
Yep.
You're going to hear it in just a moment. You're going to go, oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah, you probably do. We're a church, so we're all kind of doing some form of our vision statement. I think we're all pretty clear. So, but the idea is just getting clarity, because even when you have the statements, if you're not talking about them, you're probably not clear as to what they actually mean for you.
Yeah, because it's not just a statement that you post on your website.
No,
So it looks good.
No.
It sounds good. You have to operate by it.
you do.
It's your filter.
You do.
And so I guess if you were to go around and ask your employees, like, what is your vision statement? What is your mission statement?
Yeah.
They don't know.
They don't know.
They can't recall it. It's because you're not talking about it enough.
That's right.
I would say. You're just
would say
not
that.
out in front of you enough.
I would say that's true. I would say that's true. It's critical that we know them, and it's critical we know the difference between the two, and it's critical that we continue to talk about them.
Right.
So we're going to state what ours are, but not because we think everybody should use these.
No.
These were things that were put together over years, and they were put together as a team over the process of time, prayer, and a lot of consideration. So, but we came to these because we said, yeah, that's it. That's our heart for this. So our vision statement is really simple: a people experiencing God.
Yep.
Because that's what there looks like for us. We want people to experience God.
Yeah.
And when they do, we know we just hit the mark.
Right.
So whatever we're doing, whether it's our life groups, our worship service,
Yep.
any kind of a prayer gathering,
Weekly HSM.
Yeah.
high school
High
student ministry,
students, yeah. all students.
absolutely. Celebrate recovery,
Children's ministry.
keys to
Yeah.
freedom.
Outreach.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah. Outreach. Yep.
We want people to experience God.
Yeah.
And when they do, bingo, ding, 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 ding.
We got there.
We got there. We got there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the more we get there, the more we embrace that vision.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. But do we experience God in everything we do at all times? No. Come on, let's be honest. No, we don't. We don't. We don't. But we're trying to get better.
Yeah,
Right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
That is what we're measuring all of this
Right.
against. We want people to experience God as often as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And this is really important because years ago, I was reading a statistic for why people go to church and then don't return. And the number one reason, it was 42% of people who go to church and then do not return to church, is that they did not experience God. They went thinking they would, and they didn't, so they didn't come back. And so that just sat with me, and it honestly simmered for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And that's when I came out, and
Right.
through time as we got away, and we'll talk about that process in a minute, but that just became something that was so important. I want people to experience God, and we together came to that.
Right.
So it was beautiful. Our mission statement, when you guys want to give it to us? Mission statement is different.
Mission statement is different. This is the one that will sound a little bit familiar.
Yeah.
But it's simply just empowering people to live as devoted followers of Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not rocket science.
Yeah,
Right?
it's not rocket science. A lot of people have a version of that, or maybe the exact same thing. Yeah.
Right.
But it is what we do,
Right.
right?
Yep.
It's why we exist.
Exactly.
Right.
See people experiencing God, and then what do we practically do? We help people become fully devoted followers of Jesus so that they can experience God.
Right.
Okay. So people don't need to use ours.
No.
Those are just what we do. But you do need to have your vision and mission statements. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. And use them.
And use them.
Yes, and I think one thing to also just kind of bring to light is like you, as the senior leader here.
Yeah.
You know, you had something just the Lord gave you, like that statistic really was a burden on your heart. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I don't want that for our church. I want
Right.
people to experience God, and so, I think something for pastors to consider is what is God giving you at your church to do?
Yeah.
Like, what is He revealing to you that you should follow? Because every church is going to be different. Every culture is going to be different.
Yeah.
So, like
Yeah.
we said, you don't have to use ours, but this is something that was birthed here.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
It's been great for us. So,
Okay, so here's the magic question then. So it's great. We have these stated. They're on a piece of paper. We know that many organizations, many churches have this. That's great. The real question is, how do you use it? So how do you guys use this? Because this card is something we literally give out to all of our leaders.
right,
Yes.
And we drag this thing out
right.
often.
Yeah.
So how do you currently use this in worship ministries? Talk to us about
Well, I was just going to say, before, when I was in transition to coming here,
Yeah.
I remember you pulling this out.
Yeah.
And I remember having our very first conversations after we got over the initial getting to know one another,
Yeah.
getting to know each other's stories, our testimony. I remember you pulling this out and saying, I'm just going to read these to you, go over these with you, and just see that as we're continuing our conversations, that these resonate with you.
Yeah.
Because I know how important it was at this point, because you don't want to work with someone that doesn't share the same values,
Right.
doesn't
Yeah.
share the same mission statement or
Absolutely.
vision statement with you. And so I took what you did and I was like, wow. And we've hired, music directors.
Yeah.
This last year we've hired interns, and every single one of them I've sat down with and I've gone over the game plan.
Yeah.
Because it was it was like mind-boggling to me. I'm like, I've never experienced this before.
Yeah.
I've never had a senior pastor sit me down and say, hey, this is why we exist. This is how we get there. This is how we behave. This is what matters. These are our values.
Yeah.
But in detail.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say it like in a passing statement, but to have it in your hand and to see it.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, wow, this is really helpful.
Yeah.
So I could then picture myself, okay, could I see myself operating like this here at Heights Church?
Yeah.
And so that's what I did with the recent hires, and everyone.
No, it's meaningful. to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It if it was that important with you
Yeah.
in that time of transition for me,
Yeah.
I knew, man, if I bring people on the worship team, the production
Yeah.
team, this is one of the first things I show them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I ask them, as I'm reading through this, stop me and ask me questions for clarity.
It's good.
So,
It's good.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, if we don't actually bring people in with this vision and mission statement,
Yeah.
this all could really, and I know people are going to go, that's not true. And I'm going to say, yes, it is.
Yes, it totally is.
As a staff person, what it winds up becoming, and honestly, as a senior lead, it can become this too, because it's what mission drift feels like. What it really dwindles down to is, hey guys, let's all come back next week and let's do this again. Let's come back. We're going to sing some songs. I'm going to say some things from the Bible. We're going to pray together. And then we're going to come back the next week and do it all over again. It becomes this routine that loses its meaning. And I know people say, no, it's not really that. It actually is. It really does become that, with some hallmarks in there thrown in. But
Right.
really, it's not about people experiencing God. It's about, please come back. Please come back. Like, no, that's not the invitation.
Yeah.
Right.
We're here to be changed and transformed in the name of Christ.
Right.
And that's so different than come back next week. Because if you don't have this stated vision of a people experiencing God, then really what are you calling people to?
Right.
And if you do have something written down and you're not bringing it in front of them, talking to them about it, they're going to start settling into that routine and that rut. It's so easy to do. So easy to do. And it's uninspiring.
Yeah.
Let's give something people to jump onto and to love and to really sink their teeth into.
And is it too harsh to say, like, no wonder church attendance has gone down?
I don't
the
think it is
last-
too harsh.
I mean,
I don't think it is too harsh. I mean, that's not the sole reason.
that's not one of the sole
honestly,
reasons, but it is.
It can be a reason.
Well,
I
you
mean-
said the statistics said
We know it's true.
we know it's true. It's
Yeah.
not even something. It's not too harsh because
It's not too harsh. Yeah.
the stats say so.
Right.
That's right.
People didn't experience God,
Yeah.
and again, you
4 out of
word
10.
it that way.
4 out of 10.
And
They
so,
didn't.
and I'm sure there's factors in there, but if we could do something about that,
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we live by that vision of people experiencing God,
Yeah.
it keeps it fresh. It keeps, like you said, just not come back
like
next
that.
week.
Yeah.
It keeps us on our toes because we visit this often.
Yes.
Okay, so what are we going to do? How are people going to experience God? By fill in the blank. If that's what
Yeah.
we're thinking about doing.
That's right.
So
That's
we
right.
run it through these things.
That's right. That's right. So when it comes to worship, is it helpful to you, Ryan, when you're leading our church in worship, what the
Right.
goal is, what there looks like?
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
The vision is clear. People experience God. I want people to come in on Sunday morning and have an awareness of His presence.
Yeah.
You know, to build that awareness, especially because, you know, someone new in their faith might go for the fuzzy feelings. But one thing I want to encourage them as they keep coming to worship is, hey, you know, we still worship God the same way when it's a good day.
Yeah.
Or it's been a bad week and we've had a rough morning getting the kids in the car. You know, you're arguing with your wife on the way to church, but God is still worthy of our praise. There's that maturity factor that, you know, a lot of worship leaders I wish would understand, like, hey, not everyone's on the same page with you.
Yeah.
You have new believers on the very beginning part of the spectrum, like very beginning stages of their faith, to very even people who have been a follower of Jesus Christ for the last 70 years.
Yeah.
But you need to somehow get to that vision, but how you get there is hitting those spots. So having moments between transitions, you know, sharing a verse, sharing something that the Lord has been speaking to you about, you know, just asking the Spirit, okay, what can I say this week that would encourage people to just worship you?
Yeah.
Because the vision for them is to experience God, but how do you get there?
Yeah.
So, you know, you use the worship time as a place to tear down the walls, to give people permission to be where they're at.
Yeah.
Does that help at all?
Oh yeah, it does. So I know it changes the words
Oh, man.
you speak. It changes how I teach.
Oh, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
I mean, sorry, I don't mean to.
No,
but
yeah.
I mean, these past few months, I mean, I don't know if you've experienced it, but in our worship times, we've been trying to stick to a certain time frame.
Yeah.
But God's been doing something every Sunday different.
Yeah.
And you know, you have a word and you come up and have a word. I mean, like there's been so many things happening in our time of worship where
It's good.
I think what's so awesome is that our vision is still there. It's fresh.
Yeah, it's
People
fresh.
experience God every week, but it's not the same. And I don't think it has to be the same.
Right.
Because again, I should be doing the work during the week to, you know, prepare my heart, lead the team, the worship team, to make sure that they're on the same page, that they understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And that, you know, as I'm leading worship, I'm looking around the room and asking the Lord, okay, how do I lead them? Because they're not all in the same category. I can't categorize them in the same
place.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's good. I really think that's important. So that's one of the ways that we use it is it actually drives us to lead better.
Yeah.
We know what there looks like.
Right.
Yeah. And it changes the way I speak because at the end of the messages and throughout the messages, I'm inviting people to experience God with what we just talked about.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not anticipating that this is just a great idea. It's like, no. Come and experience Jesus and be changed by him.
Right.
Well, that's because I have an expectation. There's a vision. Again, you don't have to follow our vision. Don't use that. But you have a vision that God's put in your heart that would be so compelling that it just drives and inspires you. You got to find that.
Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about that piece of how you find it. Well, our process, Tim, I know you were a part of that process with us when we did it. Was it me going to the mountain as Moses, spending 40 days coming down saying, hey, this is what you're all going to do?
No.
Is that what it was?
No, it was a big team effort. It was us going to the mountain.
Yes, it was.
We got away as a staff.
We did.
And we brought the pastors, we brought directors, we brought our creative team, you know, it's because we wanted, I mean, we're a team. And so I remember going out and going to this nice place, you know, this cabin, and it was more a big cabin.
It was a big cabin.
It was beautiful on the shores of South Lake Tahoe.
It was so nice.
What a gift.
Not everybody can get one of those.
It was a
but we
beautiful
did.
gift. It was a beautiful gift.
It was free.
But that's what I mean. It was a gift. But I just remember the whole process wasn't, it was all day.
Yeah.
We really were digging deep, and we were taking time out, getting away individually to pray. We got away in pairs to express our heart and pray for each other.
Wow.
You know, we did some brainstorming, and it was just kind of this. It's hard to explain. It was just this incredible work. You know, all these people, and then you're putting all these things down on the sheet, and you're looking at
big
it.
Tablet. We wrote them
Huge
out
tablets.
for each other. Yeah.
And we were crossing things out, adding things. And I love I think the key things is we went in and we set the expectation of, like, you know, we're not going to get our feelings hurt.
Yeah.
This is not about us.
Yeah.
This is about our people.
Yeah.
And we want to leave today knowing what God has for our people.
Yeah.
and that was going to direct how we do what we do.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think it was you said, I just want our people, we just want them to experience God. And you could almost hear people in the room go, that's it.
You're right.
Because we had all these long ones, and you know what I mean.
We totally.
We had like 3
all
or 4
these long.
Oh yeah, and they
statements.
are all fantastic.
Yeah.
But when you said that, we were like, well, that's summing up everything we've been talking about and praying about all day. So it literally just came to us, but it was a process.
Yeah.
We got the team away.
Yeah.
We worked together.
Yeah.
So when we left that day, I know driving home, the conversation in the Jeep that day going home was, guys, this is going to be cool. Like, how cool was this day? How awesome was it? How powerful is that? It was like we were all pointed in the right direction. When we got there, we were kind of looking around. We didn't know, but we all were able to face forward, and we knew where we were going.
Yeah.
We knew where there was.
We knew where there was.
We knew where we wanted our people to be there. And so it was amazing. And so it's a process.
Wow, I
and it
love
wasn't
that.
just one person.
Yeah.
This was the team. They got ownership. You had, everybody from the people who do all of our social media and put anything in print down to directors, part-time directors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone in between, top to bottom. And it was just an amazing. We had been on other retreats.
Yes.
But when we set out to find out what our vision and missions was going to be, that was, we say this, right?
Yeah.
But it was a game changer.
It was a game changer.
It has not
really
been the
was.
same since.
And it's important that our social media people know what our vision is. It's important that even our admin assistants need to know what that is. The people in our chairs on the weekend, I almost said pews, but we don't have pews. But
Thank God.
they need to know what can I expect?
Yeah.
Right.
To experience God.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's good enough and he's present enough. He's powerful enough.
Yeah.
That is exactly what
I looked at it as like,
happen.
this was our commitment. This is what God gave us, and it became our commitment to our people.
Yeah, it's good.
We're committed to helping you get there, which was people experiencing God.
Let me ask you this. What did it make? Now I'm asking this question because I have felt this way before. Okay. And I want to just speak to this if anybody out there is listening, they're thinking this. Did it make me weak as the senior leader to say, hey, I need for all of us to give input to this process? I want you to help me shape the vision statement. Did that make me look weak or like I didn't know what I was doing or I wasn't spiritual enough?
No, I think as leaders, we get into the trap of thinking we have to have all the answers. We have it all figured out because we are leading this thing.
Right.
So therefore, even in departments, so student ministries, children's as the point person for our ministry departments, to our volunteers or paid staff underneath us, we fear this statement. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you don't need to.
We don't need to.
Because what it did was when you said, hey, come with me, it's like, this is ours.
Yeah.
This isn't me helping you achieve your goals. This is us together working as a team to achieve the mission and the vision that God has for our church.
Yeah.
And it made me an owner and really more bought in, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a myth that we believe we can't, as top leaders or any leader for that matter.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. If you don't know, then great your team in there because they have already agreed to partner with you in this.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So it's a myth to say that you should know it.
Yeah, it's a myth to say you should know everything or have it figured out. No, it wasn't a sign of weakness.
No. And I didn't come to the day with no ideas.
No.
I came to the day as a senior lead to say, okay, I have a really good general idea of where we're going to go, but I didn't want to force it. I wanted us to get there together, and I was hoping that we could wind up with something. But honestly, I was not saying, oh, it's got to be a people experiencing God at the end of the day. I just had that idea in my mind because that statistic just would not leave me.
Right.
And after the whole thing was done, it was just natural for me to have said it. And I remember the moment when I said it, I was not trying to just throw an idea out there. I was just saying it, and then people stopped.
It was quiet.
It was an amazing moment.
It was
That's
great.
how we knew.
Yep.
it was God.
And it encapsulated everything.
Yeah.
We had really the idea of everything we had put on that whiteboard. It
really did. It
Because
did.
people kept saying, like, yeah, that's what we mean. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking I meant.
That's it.
And it was just, it
You're
was
so right.
incredible unison.
You're right.
And people even started laughing. We kind of like giggled it off and went, that was a moment. We all
That's so
recognized
good.
that was a Holy Spirit moment.
That was a Holy Spirit moment.
Man, I
love it.
wish I was
no
there.
doubt.
So good.
I feel like
so good.
I have
yeah.
a huge case of FOMO
Yeah.
right now.
That's good.
Fear of
So
missing
a
out.
couple of things. We currently use it. You guys use it for intake for new volunteers or even staff.
Yep.
We use it as an accountability so we could say, hey, we're here to help people experience God. So is this happening in your ministry? Because this is what there looks like. That's
right.
the vision.
That's
So we
good.
all know what we're chasing.
Yeah.
And we are clear about what's expected.
What's it? Yep.
This is what we're all shooting for.
Yeah.
This is what we want. Whenever we speak, Tim, you just spoke this last weekend. You were clear. This is what I'm expected to do, is to help people experience God through this message. You're clear about the worship, life groups, student ministries, Celebrate Recover, you name it. It's what we want. Even walking into our offices, we want people to experience God when they're on this campus and to feel something different when they're here amongst the church.
When you're having meetings with your volunteer, I want that person who's coming into my office to experience God before they leave.
Right.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so can you imagine doing ministry without a clear vision or mission statement? How does that make you feel?
Scared because I mean, just real story here. I mean, I recently got married. And I remember just being in a different kind of rhythm. I mean, you're newlywed. You're trying to figure out the new rhythms of life, what time you should get off of work. Because, being single, I was like, it's 7 o'clock. I might as well go. But, I remember soon after, about a month after being married, I remember feeling like just my rhythms were off.
Yeah.
And I remember it being pointed out and being like, one of my music directors, she was like, what are we doing right now? It's been a month of just kind of a weird rhythm of just
floating
around, mission drift.
Well, I've been getting married.
Mission drift.
Drift. That's exactly what I was going through, was mission drift. And what was so awesome was that I went back to this.
Yeah.
And I said, got to get back on track.
Yeah.
And I as a worship pastor, I'll own it. There are times, there's seasons, rhythms in life where you will experience this, and what is going to keep you accountable, especially to yourself.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, I take this job seriously to the point where it's an honor. It's a privilege that I get to do this. The fact that people would donate their resources to a church and to believe and have trust in their staff to be doing exactly what our vision and mission statement is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge responsibility.
That's right.
So I got back to a tighter schedule. I changed some things around. I took some things out, and our team, we're more focused now than ever.
Oh, I love
and
that.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You
You were saying off before we started the podcast, and we were talking about this, that those things that you were putting in your schedule were guided by
the game plan.
people experiencing God.
Yep.
Yeah.
And helping people to live as a fully devoted follower. Not only but you were doing it as a person individually.
Exactly.
And then how do I schedule those things? And then how, so it's like
good.
it went all the way through your whole ranks.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So that was
and
awesome.
there's fruit starting to come of it now, which is fantastic. So it's to help keep me accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge reason why so many people, I think, especially leaders in the church, they experience mission drift.
Yeah.
And if you don't nip it in the bud right away, you're going to be, whoa, I don't want to know.
Which is why we drag this thing out all the time
Yes.
to make sure we're accountable to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I know that staffs are hungry for this if they don't have it. And they might not even be able to put words to why they feel the frustration they do, but it's because it feels ambiguous. It feels muddy because that's how it feels when we don't have clarity.
Right.
And so if we're not clear about why we exist, what are we actually doing? Why am I doing all of this today?
Right. Well, everyone on your
That's a
staff will have a
frustrating place
different
to be.
answer.
Yeah. Yep.
You're right. They will.
They'll have a different
They'll have a
answer.
different answer.
And we'd said the word earlier in the podcast, silos.
Oh, yeah.
And silos are dangerous.
They
Yep.
are.
Yep.
You see church splits over silos because it's a church within a church.
You're right.
Yep.
And they don't have any clue. And it can be very unsettling as the individual. And then if you have some type of leaders like, well, I don't need it, and they just go for it, then you got somebody operating on their own vision that doesn't line up with the church. And then
So
Or the
true.
senior leadership.
again,
yeah.
silos.
Yeah.
And then it just, who knows what it can develop into.
Right.
And the best part about this is it's not a micromanagement tool
No.
because you're still giving permissions, like for our student ministries.
Yeah.
Hey, our student ministries pastor is responsible on what are you doing and how are you doing getting people to experience God.
Yes.
We're not telling them how to do it.
Right.
He tells us, and so we
Yeah.
all know we're on the same page because we
Yeah.
are having
Right.
conversations.
Right.
Right.
But it keeps us all focused on the main thing.
Yeah.
And our vision. And so it prevents silos and it's important because then you'll have people who just everyone's doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the fact too, that it really draws us out of our silos, because one of
Yeah.
the things that we like to do is in our team meetings is ask each other, where have you seen people experiencing God?
Yeah.
Tell me where you've seen God. Well, what is that? We're reinforcing the vision, and then we get to share our stories
Yeah.
of how that happened in worship, in the room backstage before you
man.
guys even go out.
Exactly. Yeah.
How it happens
Yep.
in our life groups, our student, our children's ministry, all over the place. But we know that's what there looks like. So let's celebrate there by talking about people experiencing God.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that.
Been good.
It keeps it fun. It keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
And it keeps us on mission.
It does.
And
It
I
does.
love
And the other thing I think about the silo piece that I wish I had known this when I was on staff teams, but I just couldn't put it into words, is that we really did feel like, I felt like, that what I did in my particular silo, I was an executive pastor, I was over discipleship, and I always felt like, oh, we're the ones that are developing people into Jesus followers, right? I was the one thinking about that. But I never stopped to consider, because it was never pointed out to me, that we're all as a team working for that same goal.
Right.
And yes, me providing classes
Yeah.
did help that process, but that was also happening in every other ministry in our church, whether that was a Sunday school class, whether that was a small groups, or whether that was in worship, children's ministry, our outreach, because we want the people of our city to experience God as well. That's the vision we have for them. It's not just about us. It's about all people.
Yeah.
I mean, it all comes together, and then you realize, I am not able to do this on my own. We are interdependent on one another to achieve this mission.
It's shared.
This vision.
It's team. It's shared.
It's shared.
So I
So
got
good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Since you being a lead,
Yeah.
the lead pastor, as someone who's not at least on part of your staff, if I was feeling that there wasn't clarity, you were unsure, or you had not heard your lead pastor talking this language or promote or put out vision or mission statement, how would someone in my position, or even a youth pastor, or anyone, reach out to their lead pastor to get clarity? Like, what?
Sure.
If you had advice to them, if they're listening to this podcast and they're not a senior leader,
Yep.
how would you advise them to?
That's a good
Yeah,
question.
that is a really good question. And I know there's a lot more people listening to the podcast that probably are in that position.
Right.
And so I just want to say, first off, that I think it's worth doing. And I think you can do this in a way that would not, create antagonism. I think if you just were able to come to your senior lead and if you came in a manner that appeals, not demands. Hey, I was listening to a podcast, and you know what? Guess what? They told me we're supposed to have vision, mission. We don't have vision and mission statement. I can't even believe this. Look what a terrible leader you are. I can guarantee you what's going to happen, and it's not going to be good.
You see a box on your
But if you were to
desk.
go in and just say, hey, I would love to hear your heart about what you see. What's your vision? I know you don't know everything. You don't need to know everything, but what do you see? Man, I would really love to hear it, because I want to align my heart to yours. And if you need some time to think about it, no problem. But I just want you to know, I want to know.
Yeah.
I really want to see it. Describe it in whatever ways you can, because I'm part of your team and I want to help you achieve it.
Yeah.
Oh, my word. Senior leaders would recognize that you're not coming after them. And even if they feel like I have to know all the answers, I'm not supposed to ask anybody else, it really helps them, I think, to think about it in a way, and just to be able to be invited into that conversation. And it doesn't feel like a high risk for me to enter that conversation at that point. I feel like I can just share what I know. I don't feel like I have to know everything, but of course I see things. Of course I can talk about it in some ways.
Yeah.
And then even the mission statement in the same way. It's like, okay, well then how would we describe our mission? Tell me about that. And so at that point, you're able to get it out there, and then the offer to say, that this is wonderful. I mean, this really helps me to be on your team and to help us to do it together. Let's pursue it together. Let's chase it together. And then how can I help you to let the rest of our team experience this too? I want to encourage you. They want to hear. I know they do.
Yeah.
We want to hear it because we believe in you. That's why we're here. We're a part of your team.
Right.
Yep.
Help us to chase this mission together.
Nice.
So we can be as clear as possible.
Yeah.
Would that be helpful?
That would be, yeah.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Because
Yeah.
I would imagine there are a number of people on the staff who are wanting that information,
Yeah.
respect their leader, love their
do.
leader,
Yeah.
but don't know how.
Yeah.
And that could be for a number of reasons. And so
Yeah.
it's super helpful.
Right.
Just to, hey, I'm here to partner with you.
Yeah.
Let me share your heart.
And even if they do have it stated at your church, but you just never talk about it, which is probably the case,
Right.
then to be able to say, here's our our mission statement. I know this is our vision, but I'd love to hear you talk more about it.
Yeah.
Show me some details.
Yeah.
Like, can you give me stories of people that you've experienced that describe that to you? Make it personal, because I just want to feed off of that. They have stories, I promise you.
Yeah.
But often they might just feel like people don't want to hear it, or they don't need to say it because everybody should have the vision. But vision leaks.
Yeah, it
and we
does.
need to be inspired.
Right.
I was just thinking too, like, as someone, Ryan and I, we oversee different departments.
Yeah.
So I know that if I had someone, volunteer, intern, director, who reports to me,
Yeah.
ask me that same question,
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Oh, sit down.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you." I mean, I love to tell stories, but
Right.
Yeah.
But, right? If you had somebody, tell me about the time that, what draws your heart to ministry and to
Right.
worship. I remember when you were interning and we had that very long Zoom meeting.
Oh, it was super
interview,
long.
and we were just asking. You were sharing your heart.
Yeah.
I was able, looking on. I was thinking as someone who was evaluating, right, in this
Yeah.
interview process.
Yeah.
I'm looking at all of the other staff members on with you, and I'm watching their reaction.
Oh, you're talking about the interview process?
him.
We was on Zoom?
Yes.
All the way from Florida?
I'm
Oh, yeah.
watching.
Yeah.
I'm watching our staff, who the management team, and I'm watching there was leaning in.
Yeah.
So I think it wouldn't be any different if you were to go to your lead pastor and ask the same question.
Yeah.
Like, how would you respond if someone said that to you?
Yeah.
I like, oh, they really want to hear my heart.
They do.
Why wouldn't they?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go for it.
And senior leads don't often feel like that.
Right.
Senior leads don't feel like, oh yeah, everybody wants, they really want to hear my heart. Either they think everybody already knows it, which is
Right.
a big mistake, or the other part is honestly, we can kind of feel alone in this whole thing,
Right.
and that people don't really want to chase this with the passion that we do.
Right.
Or maybe we lost our passion, and it's a way of reigniting it.
Yeah.
Be reminded of.
We forgot what there looks like.
Yeah.
Right.
And it has become about
Right.
come back next week.
Man, it's been good.
Yeah, yeah. It has been good. Thanks, guys, for sharing. Any last thoughts here before we check out?
Well, one thing real quick. I know we're not talking about the culture or anything when it comes to the game plan, but
Yeah,
but having
we're going to
that,
talk about that next podcast.
but the vision and mission statement, I would say, like, understanding the bigger picture, but the methods to get to there has helped me, someone who's newer on staff, really acclimate to the culture here quicker.
Quicker.
because I understand, okay, what's there.
Yeah.
But the method's getting there. I'm looking at how you operate in your department. And I'm looking at how you lead.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing there's a lot of similarities in the approaches. That makes sense.
It does, yeah.
So I'm thinking that helps your team, I think, feel cohesive, not just in vision and mission,
Yeah.
but also in culture.
Yeah.
So that we're not defensive.
Right.
We're a very collaborative team. We're very like, hey, like we check each other,
Yeah.
check on each other.
Yeah.
We ask each other, how are we doing? It's really has seeped into more than just putting a vision and mission statement on a piece of paper. It's really become how we've lived.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good.
It just as we're talking about that, I'm just and you were talking about the different departments. I'm like, there's so many scenarios in my head where I'm like, man, we're living this out.
We're living this out.
And
yeah.
I was really able to grasp onto the culture of that.
That's good.
And so anyway, I know
Well,
we're not,
That's good.
That sets us up really well for the next one because
Listen to the
we're
next one,
talking
y'all.
about the game plan. And the first question is, why do we exist? Front and back, one card that answers 5 really important questions. Well, why do we exist? That's where it starts. Vision, mission statements. If you don't have them or they're not clear, go revisit what you have, and then good time to ask, do we want to revision? Do we want to come back with something else a little bit more inspiring for us? Or do we want to rally around these? Really important. And I love the fact that we could have a real conversation
in real time.
in real time about leading people, organizations, and change.
Yes, sir.
Thanks so much for being with us. And please hit subscribe or the like. And this next podcast will drop right into your feed. All right, guys, until next time.